Hello, everyone, and welcome finally to the second episode of Internet Interviews. I am your host, Matthew, and in this series, we will be talking to various internet personalities and bringing you a little bit of an in-depth look into their career. I explain it more in the first video, and if you want to watch that, I will link to that as well. But, speaking of the first episode, I decided what better way to kind of kick off this series than to go back to back with two guys that are familiar with making internet entertainment in various forms. Last episode, we had Chase Suddarth, who is an animator and worked on projects such as Tomorrow's Nobody. Today, we are going to be talking to probably his closest partner in crime, someone also who worked on Tomorrow's Nobodies, but also made a video series with Chase called David Forgets. And if you guys know who I'm talking about, you know I'll be talking to David Sapp. All right, everybody. This is my guest today, David Sapp. David, for those that don't know who you are and what you do, go ahead and give everybody a brief introduction.
Well, I guess what I've done is more relevant now compared to what I do. But over the years, I've collaborated with a number of different artists for different animations and projects across the internet. People know my work most from Tomorrow's Nobody. I've worked with Cyanide and Happiness or Explosum, the guys over at Lowbrow. I've helped out with minor production pieces of their projects, contributed voices, written scripts. Yeah, just a lot of all over the place internet work. Outside of that now, I'm just a boring old man who works in a lab. But, you know, I still, where I'm able to collaborate with Chase on projects when we get free reign to actually be creative and come up with our own concepts. I enjoy that a lot, but it's just not as common as people saying, I have an idea, here's the money to make my idea. So I get that.
So as I've done, for those that don't know or haven't seen it, I did previously interview Chase Suddarth, who David is talking about right now. I'll have something linking to that right here. But like I did with Chase, I think where I want to start here is tell me a bit about your early life growing up and maybe your family dynamic. How was it growing up out there?
It's a little hazy. I'll piece it together as best I can. At age 17, I took a pretty severe blow to the head. So most of my life before then, it's a lot of still shots. I don't have a lot of concrete details. But I mean, when I was younger, I would say I was a happy-go-lucky kid. Definitely took to entertaining people early. Any chance that I could get to make somebody laugh, I definitely fed into that. I loved it. Because not to go too much into it, but there was some turmoil in the family dynamic when I was younger. So anytime that I could lighten the mood, I loved it. And it definitely came to light at school too. I loved just surprising people and making them laugh. I think one thing that gave me the edge when I was younger is, and it also ruined my life, I'll admit, but I'll dive into that in a sec. My parents were always into, adult humor. They didn't keep it away from myself and my sister. So we had Saturday Night Live and Living Color, sketch comedy shows like that, as well as just other stand-up comedians were always on television. So I kind of got introduced to that at a much younger age. So I would, of course, try to emulate that and try to recreate just like the wackiness of it that you didn't really see on children-friendly television. And the reason I say that also ruined my life is because I jumped ahead way too quick, and things that I probably should have enjoyed with all of my peers when I was younger, like cartoons and like sketch comedy shows, like all that, for example, was huge in the 90s. And when that came out, I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. So I started watching humor that was geared towards a demographic almost a decade older than that. So like I was just on a different level, for better or for worse. My childhood was a step ahead and just me pursuing, just trying to make people laugh. And once we finally settled in Arizona, I really grabbed a hold of that a lot more, especially in high school. That's where I ended up meeting with Ben and Eric of Tomorrow's Nobody before I'd even met Chase. And prior to that too, I would just go rogue and do my own things around school just to try to get laughs out of people, and got a lot of traction. I just remembered I had a website for a while that was nothing special, but everybody around school loved it and would go to it all the time and were constantly waiting for updates. So yeah, it's just something I gravitated to early and enjoyed it and kind of stayed with it.
So while it was brought up here, sort of, I don't want to dive too much into it if it's an issue, but what exactly happened at 17 that, wow, you say you took like a severe blow to the head? Like, was it kind of an accident? Some of that sort?
It was an accident that shouldn't have happened that I brought on. When I was young, even though I had a taste for comedy, I like knew in my heart what I wanted to be was a professional stuntman. That's all I wanted to be. And even prior to that, I was a gymnast. I loved doing gymnastics, just the tumbling, the body control, all of that. Basically, just the thrill of the body control and falling. Like I was an adrenaline junkie. Like all of that really got me going, along with comedy. Like it was kind of on the same level. Like I just get those endorphins that would hit, but it was definitely more my passion of like, yeah, this is what I want to be. Like I didn't even want to be an entertainer for a career. I wanted to be a stuntman for sure. Like I just knew it. So I used to again just go rogue and do my own things in front of friends, and I'm sure none of the videos exist anymore, but a lot of stuff got filmed and I would just keep pushing and pushing the envelope. And one of the things I would often do is just hop on the hood of somebody's car while they were driving, and they'd speed around and whip donuts, and I'd let go and go flying off, and things were great. And there was one instance where my buddy, he took a turn real quick while I had a terrible hold on his car, and I slid off his hood and I flew like facing the windshield. And this is what I'm told, my heels hit the ground and then momentum just kept me going, and the back of my skull cracked the pavement. And I don't even remember that day. And then it's just like weeks later outside of the hospital, and pretty much the majority of my life before that, just a few snapshots. Like I can tell you where I was and if I enjoyed it, if it was bad, but I can't give you fine-tuned details. My cat's tail's getting all up on the screen. Come on, Scoops. No, anytime I stream, she's always up in there too. She's got her adoring fans.
So, as you had mentioned, you went to school, high school, it seems, with a bunch of the guys from Tomorrow's Nobodies. Could you tell me how you yourself came in to become part of the show, or like where the foundation of the show came from?
I mean, the foundation of the show really came from Ben and Eric. We had collaborated on school projects prior to that. One of them, I think it made it on like the original Tomorrow's Nobody DVD. It was a very bad sci-fi project that we did for school, where we did little claymation aliens attacking a complex that I actually live right next to now, which is crazy. But yeah, we collaborated on that, and that was about it. Like I knew Ben was getting into animation. Of course, he was the one behind the Stop Go animation project. And I knew that he and Eric were going down avenues like that. And they had done the very first Tomorrow's Nobody cartoon, which was maybe no more than 2 minutes. It was just a couple of jokes. I think one of them didn't have legs. Looking back on it now, nothing all that special. But in 2001, before Flash was really taking off and you could just put a cartoon on the internet, that was mind blowing. And I just remember seeing it and I was like, holy shit, you guys made this? I want to be a part of this. I can write some jokes for you guys. Like, let's do this. And then next episode after that, the David character came into play. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'll also stop that by saying the writing wasn't phenomenal back in those days. I pretty much took over the majority of the writing. And that's where Tomorrow's Nobody got a lot of its traction. There was collaboration among all of us as well, but watching those old episodes, I was just off the chain. And I didn't care. I didn't care about good joke structure or just like really selling it. It was all just like quick jabs and joke, one after the other. And then it just landed. I mean, Tomorrow's Nobody started taking off on Newgrounds, and kind of just muscled my way in there, if I'm being honest.
So that kind of did come into my next question. So it seems you did a lot of the writing, or a lot of writing in general, for Tomorrow's Nobodies. Was that like the majority of what you did creatively, like, or was there other avenues of the production that you were involved in during that time?
No, I mean, honestly, not until I got out of Tomorrow's Nobody did I really start doing more in Flash or just more audio editing, just more anything on other projects. But Tomorrow's Nobody, I basically was, the few times we filmed, sometimes I'd be behind the camera, and then yeah, I would just record audio and write. That was pretty much my part in the piece in the puzzle. There was that one scene. It was in the fifth new Tomorrow's Nobody episode that I did animate, and it's very clear that I did. And it's something that should have taken anybody maybe 10 minutes to do. I definitely sat there for like 4 hours working on that piece of shit. But it's still, to me, I love it. Like it is so bad that like only a mother could love it, and I think I'm the only person who watches it. I'm like, that's a masterpiece right there.
So I'm sure this is a question that some other fans have asked, but prior to Chase joining the show as animator, Ben was obviously, I think, one of your lead animators there. And when the new Tomorrow's Nobodies came out, he left the show. Do you remember why he had left, or was there any contention there, anything of that sort?
I don't remember specifics. My my knee-jerk response is he was just kind of over it. But I mean, I can't really answer that question completely. I know I want to say that he and Chase worked on the first episode together. They were juggling that one back and forth. But no, I can't really pinpoint. I think it was just creative differences too, honestly. I think it just came to a point where he wasn't feeling it the same anymore, and then there was just creative difference. And he after that he was doing other projects with other mutual friends that were in other circles of mine. So he was still creating, but I mean, it's speculation, but I think he might have just been over Tomorrow's Nobody at that point.
Speaking of creative differences, it sounds like from my previous interview with Chase that there was some creative differences when David Forgets started becoming a series, and that's around when you guys also left Tomorrow's Nobodies. Do you remember if there being a particular incident or a spark that led you to leave, or if there's any sort of ill will towards any of the? Is there any sort of animosity or anything between you and the rest of the guys that were working on it?
No, no. I mean, I still talk to all the guys. It probably goes in order. I still collaborate with Chase regularly. I talk to Chris from time to time. He's active on our Discord. He comes onto our streams. We chat there. And it's been a couple of years now, but Eric, when he's around town, because he's out in California, but when he comes back to visit family or if he's doing stand-up gigs out here, we'll hook up from time to time and just chill. So, I mean, there's no bad blood among any of us that I can think of. But I mean, as far as just like a pivotal point, I think it was just a buildup, honestly. Like I had said before, I was off the chain with writing with Tomorrow's Nobody, and it was a lot of quick jabs, just get quick jokes. And I think that mantra just went on too far. Like I was tired of it. And when Chase came in, his writing style was a lot more thoughtful, creative, and to me, it was hilarious. Like the jokes just had a lot more depth to them, and I really enjoyed that. So I started partnering with him a lot more. And yeah, I just got over the formula that we had fallen into. And I feel like Tomorrow's Nobody, even when we were disbanding and doing David Forgets and then eventually went off and started doing our own projects, I felt like it stayed with the momentum that I wasn't happy with doing. And that's pretty much why we got out of it. Or at least I can say I was happy to leave because I was doing other projects that were more creatively fulfilling for me. Like I feel like the momentum that Tomorrow's Nobody had, I had ran my course with it and I needed to do something else.
Which does, I guess, bring us back into the foundation of David Forgets. So, who came up with the initial idea for that show and to make it like a live action show as opposed to animated? And I'm going to guess that part of the inspiration came from, as you say, your issues with your memory and whatnot, but I could be wrong.
Yes. So to make it live action, I don't know if it was ever originally planned to be an animation. I'm sure the idea was toyed around, but then it was like, no, 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 we're doing Tomorrow's Nobody already. That takes up so much of Chase's capacity since he was doing like 95% of the animation on it. Again, I was doing nothing. I'm pretty sure Chris wasn't. I know Eric was doing like lip syncing and such. So live film made a lot more sense because it was something we could just get out and have fun with. And the original idea, as Chase tells it, and I hope I'm not mixing this up, I'm pretty sure he had pitched it. And I guess my knee-jerk response, like, no, that's dumb. And Eric wasn't feeling it either. And then he had said something when we were out, like this, the majority of our ideas that we used to come up with, I used to be a very heavy chain smoker. Chase would smoke, so I'd always coax him to come outside and have cigarettes with me. And we made too many great jokes out on smoke breaks. But there was one time we were out there and he had quoted something I said that I completely forgot I had even said. And I was in hysterics over it. And I was like, that's amazing. How'd you come up with that? He was like, you said that. You said that shit. And then he said something along the lines of, we should just have a show called David Forgets because we'd have endless content. And then we started humoring it. And I'm sure you're familiar with the very first wave, like the first 4 that we had put out. They're maybe 30 seconds long. They're okay-ish. And then we really just figured out what we wanted to do with it. And you can definitely see the climb in quality and the writing. And yeah, just had a blast at that point. It was a good solid run too. We did 25 of those before we took our hiatus, tried to bring it back, and then Chase ruined my life by moving 3,000 miles away. That's what he did. So you can blame him. Anybody watching this, when we're having Dave Forgets, Chase the Darth.
Oh, that kind of actually was the next question too, was if that was kind of when stuff ended, was when he moved. Because I think he moved, like you said, 3,000 whatever miles away.
Kind of hard to sync up. We had, like, I flew out there from time to time to work on other projects, but there was no real good time to try to squeeze in a David Forgets, and it would have been one a year. So it just became one of those, I mean, we don't want to do it unless we can do it well. Like, we've always loved the audio-based episodes that we've done. I feel like we've been pretty successful with those. I think they're phenomenal, but I don't think they would sustain as well as just the goofy live-action ones. I'm not opposed to doing David Forgets again if it ever became, like, if we could release them on an appropriate cadence and, do it the service I feel it deserves, I would do it in a heartbeat. It's just we can't do it well right now, so I wouldn't want to sacrifice it at all. Like, we could do green screens and talk to each other and deal with that, but I just feel like it wouldn't work. I don't think it would work that way. It'd be a ton of work too. I feel like it'd be way too much work for a subpar product, and then people would anybody who was still hanging around waiting for Dave Forgets would feel betrayed at that point, and I can't do that.
Between Dave Forgets, Tomorrow's Nobodies, and whatever other creative projects you've done, is there any one segment or bit that you would call your personal favorite?
Oh, that's hard. Oh, man. There's too many good ones to choose from. I mean, if we're talking David Forgets, The Wait His Turn was probably the most fun I've ever had filming something. And it still makes me laugh to this day. Like, the way Chase cut it together between the audio and the shots, like, it's solid. It's just it's one joke. It's not a lot of jokes. It's just one continuous joke with little jabs in there, but it just works. It's so good. I love the season finale that we did for David Forgets, despite how dark it is. For me, the darker the better with that one. I would have pushed it way further, but we have to entertain people still. And outside of that, I mean, some of the other solo projects we did, like we did Mega Man Dies at the end for Machinima, which that entire series is up on Lowbrow Studios YouTube page right now. I love that project because of just how it came together and how much crunch time it was and the hindsight that came with it, and then leading up to just the last 3 episodes of it, which are phenomenal. The last 3 of them, Chase and I, we knew the show was canceled. We knew we only had 3 more episodes. We went crazy with it, and I think it was an eye-opener too. It's like, all right, if I ever have the chance to work on another project again that is our own, I want it to be this zany. I want it to just have this general cadence, this flow, because they just work so good. And then we did get that opportunity with Unexplained, and I feel like a lot of that did transfer over to it. And collectively, that show is it's fun. It's a good time.
So on the flip side of that, the favorite moment, is there any sort of horror stories, I guess you could say, or really bad memories that might have hang out within your, I guess, internet career?
I don't know. The worst things are just selfish things. If I'm being honest, there was a David Forgets episode. I think it was David Forgets How to Keep a Joke Practical. We filmed the majority of it. It was pretty much done, but it was bad. I can't remember. I think Eric was behind the camera, and just a lot of the shots didn't work at all, and some of the jokes didn't stick on it. And Chase was going through and editing it, and I was hovering with him. We were just like, this is bad. And with David Forgets, we were releasing them every single Wednesday, and we were usually filming them and putting them together on a Tuesday night, and we had to go through and reshoot that entire project. So that one was rough. Outside of that, getting kicked out of the Newgrounds party at San Diego Comic-Con 2007, one person before the piñata. And when I say get kicked out, I don't mean I got removed from the party. Sorry. They were doing a piñata, and there was one person in front of me who was just a little too drunk and was swinging at the crowd and getting crazy. They shut that shit down. If I wouldn't have been mingling with everybody, I could have gone up there sooner, could have got some candy. Nope, squandered my opportunity.
So you kind of touched on it briefly, but is there any particular project between the end of David Forgets and now, outside of the Mega Man one that you mentioned, that you had a lot of input in, or that you like? Basically, what have you been doing between David Forgets and now? Is basically what I'm getting at.
I'm sure I'm going to forget about things, but we had another machinima project called How It's Played, which evolved into Unexplained. How It's Played was just kind of like a another. It was video game centric, and it was accurately detailing why things happen in video games, and it was all completely false, of course. But that was just another fun project where we could just be zany with it, and that led into again Unexplained, which is probably the most input I've had in a project in a very long time. Chase and I were very close with writing on that one. He still definitely took the bulk of it as like I'm working constantly outside of that. But yeah, I had a lot of contribution with that, and I love the way the episodes turned out. We got some really good talent to voice in it too, so they just nailed all the jokes the way we wanted them to. Outside of that, yeah, just little odds and end projects. Chase is doing, I think he mentioned it in the last video, he's doing a monthly animation for Lowbrow Studios right now, and it's just whatever he wants to do. He came up with the concept of Video Game Hospital, which two of those have already released. The third one is on the way, and they've been doing great. If you can't tell, we've been leaning hard on video games because A, we know them, and B, there's an audience for it. So it's a good opportunity to get our brand of humor out there with familiar faces so people won't just turn it off right away. That's the hard part with original concepts. A lot of times people will just disregard it, where if it's familiar, they're all in. They'll give it a chance no matter what. So
Yeah,
it's kind of nice.
so before I let you go here, anything you want to say to any of your fans, any Tomorrow's Nobody's fans, or anything before I let you go, or anything you might want to plug?
Um, I mean, nothing really to plug right now outside of just Lowbrow Studios. I'm helping Chase where I can, just with writing the Video Game Hospital shorts. Those have been fun. Those have been doing pretty well. Nothing else to plug at the moment. And for Tomorrow's Nobody fans and everybody in between, thanks for all the support over all the years. I'm sure Chase plugged in the last one, but we share a streaming channel on Twitch. It's the Jankverse, which is the underscore Jank underscore VS. Chase and Stacy are on there more often than I am, but I pop on from time to time when I get the chance. And that's actually been a really cool outlet for us to interact with folks who have been following us for so many years. It's wild having people just pop in there, and you'll see it in the text, just like, oh my God, it's Chase from Tomorrow's Nobody. And I'm right there watching. I'm like, oh my God, who's this guy? This is awesome. Because that stuff was 15, 16 years ago, maybe even longer for some of it. So yeah, actually, I think Tomorrow's Nobody started when I was 17 or 18. So yeah, it's like 18 or 19 years old at this point.
But anyway, thank you very much, David, for your time. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you. Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I would like to thank not just David, but Chase as well, for the time that they have given me to interview them. Growing up as a fan of their work in Tomorrow's Nobodies, David Forgets, Cyanide and Happiness, if you'd have ever told me when I was younger that one day I would be working alongside these guys, interviewing them, creating content with them, I would have laughed in your face and thought it was impossible. But here I am today. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys have been enjoying this series. I've really been trying my best to get more of these episodes out, more of these interviews off the ground. And what really helps is if you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share these interviews around. Let me know down below also who you think I should also interview in this series. If I can get in touch with them, I will do my best. But thank you very much for watching, and until next time, see you later.